It's one of those games that'll be waiting for us later anyway, you know, and it's on Game Pass, so it's like I don't have a lot of urgency for it as well. But, it's a French studio, and the joke I've seen is the first JRPG, like the J apostrophe RPG.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the NerdNest podcast. I'm Bill. We've got Russ with us today. How's it going, Russ?
Good. Just busy. My neighbors are actually like shaving off their popcorn ceiling and like getting rid of the asbestos. So I can hear it barely. Hopefully you guys don't hear it. But other than that, great.
Asbestos?
Oh yeah. This
hopefully they know what the hell they're doing, because that stuff's bad. That's bad news.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's all certified stuff. Yep.
Oh, okay, good. And we've got Rich. What's going on, man?
Not too much. Enjoying some gaming, from some relaxing. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm good. I was looking at the show notes. He's got a lot of games that he's played this week, so we got to get started. But I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. We've got a lot to talk about today. We have a bunch of news stories. We have a new segment of the show called This or That, which we'll talk about later on in the show. We have a voice memo that came in from a listener. And we got to talk about the games that we've been playing. So we need to start right now. And I think that we should start with the fact that prices, like this tariff situation, everybody's focused on the Nintendo Switch. But it's not just the Nintendo Switch that's going to go up in price. It's everything that's going to go up in price if you are in the United States, because if you're in the United States, because we are now basically taxing consumers for buying things from outside the country, because the Lenovo Legion Go S Steam Edition, could that name be any longer? That device just got a price hike, and it's probably because of the tariffs. This comes to us from The Verge, PCGuide.com. They say Legion Go S Steam Edition gets a price hike ahead of launch and popular retailer. So it went from the SteamOS edition went from $549.99 up to $599.99. So it went up $50. And then the Windows version, this is the one that's the white one, which I can't reach. It's over on the shelf over there. That went from $749.99, which was already pretty expensive, up to $829.99. Russ, what do you think about these prices, man?
Well, small correction. This is the second one is the SteamOS one, but it's the Z1 Extreme chip. So it's
thank you.
It's like the old Lenovo Legion Go processor, basically. And so that was going to be $749. Now it's the $829. This is crazy. So the Z2 Go, which is the one that I reviewed the Windows one, and that was $700 something. It was just a ridiculous price compared to the SteamOS one. At $550, I thought, okay, that's a little bit more palatable. Because it's kind of in the middle ground of a Steam Deck kind of price, but $599, you're now talking about like the high tier Steam Deck, and the Z2 Go really can't match the Steam Deck, I think, just in terms of overall performance and battery life and efficiency and compatibility and stuff. Z2 Go is really it starts to feel stunted right out of the box, which is just not a good feeling. And to pay $600 for that, I don't know, $550, I was like, that's really pushing it. So it's just that, higher price just makes it a worse deal, unfortunately.
And it's not only that the price is going up, but the Steam version, you're talking about the Windows version that you have and that I have.
Yeah.
But the Steam version also comes with less RAM.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it has less RAM. And at that point, what are you getting? You're getting a 120 hertz screen that you really can't take advantage of, except for really lightweight titles. And it's got the VRR, which is great. But I don't know. In all respects, even though it is running SteamOS, I think that I would still recommend the Steam Deck at its various price tiers, which match a user's needs a little bit better.
Which is a shame, because the form factor, I think, of the Legion Go S is really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, super comfortable.
Rich, what do you think, man?
It's a shame, right? It feels a little bit like the legs of the PC handheld market are kind of getting cut out from underneath them, just as, PC handhelds are kind of beginning to really become a thing, right? Like Steam Deck obviously ushered that in. And then we have all of the companies that followed. And it's not just, or, we can't expect that it's going to be just the Legion Go S whose price is going to change. We have to expect that it's going to be across the board for more handhelds to come. So it hurts, right? Because one of the big things about the Steam Deck, even though the $399 model wasn't the highest selling model, the fact that they were able to get it at under 400 or at 400 was a big deal, right? Like that just was not a thing for PC handhelds, or even really PCs that can game, right? So that was a huge deal, and it is going to hurt to see prices not just above 500, but well above that, right? Like the article that you linked in the show notes, Bill, it mentions the Claw is already $999, right? So if that gets a price hike, we're going to see handhelds that are coming from big OEMs that are over $1,000 at like a base model. So that's really disappointing. It's a huge shame, and you have to wonder what's next for even Valve, right? Like is Valve going to have to raise their prices?
Yeah, so like Rich and I were talking about this in the pre-show before we actually hit that record button, and we were talking about, okay, so Valve has not announced the Deckard, their VR headset that they said that is rumored to be coming out. They have not announced Fremont. They have not announced Steam Deck 2. They have not announced any upcoming hardware. But due to data leaks and stuff like that, we kind of know that kind of thing is on the way, especially because we're getting information from reliable leakers that have shown us information in the past that has panned out, like with the Steam Deck OLED. And so because Valve hasn't announced any of these things, what I wonder is, number one, will they say, you know what, screw it? We're just not going to put it out. We'll wait until the tariffs are gone or that's been dealt with. Or two, will they raise the price? I mean, they can't, quote unquote, raise the price because they haven't announced a price, but they can still raise the price if that makes sense. Or three, do they build them here in the States? And, Rich and I were talking about this before the show. There's no way they do not build them in the States. They're not going to do that. It's just going to cost way too much money to build a factory, employ all of those people at a wage that is acceptable to Americans. And so they're not going to build them here. And even if they did to build them here, they'd still have to bring all the stuff. Like they got to import all the chips and all the stuff anyway. I wonder if we ever even see these things now. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah, it's they definitely are probably, I mean, they're actually in a good position because they don't have to deal with like pre-announced stuff, right? Like they don't have to be like, oh, now we're changing it, because it makes, like this, in this example, it makes Lenovo look bad. I mean, they're just reacting to the market and the circumstances that they've been dealt. But it just looks worse for us to be like, you mean I got to pay now $100 more, And so it's just a bad look. And Valve can kind of avoid that. I think that Nintendo was put in a weird position too, where they were like, we made this price and then things went south. And so we're going to keep those prices, but we're going to try to find our money somewhere else. Nintendo definitely has this thing of that, we are going to get our money for this, the tutorial thing that they're charging $10 for and so on, but yeah, it's just really hard. Like the Lenovo Legion Go, like I'm still thinking about it. Like the SteamOS one with the Z1 Extreme, $830. And I just looked on Best Buy. You can get the other one for it's only got 512 gigabytes of storage, but I think it's plenty because you have a micro SD card, but it's $650 right now. And I don't see a $180 difference between the two. What are you going to get? You're going to get something that runs SteamOS natively, but I think if somebody's watching this channel, they know how to do things like Bazite. You know what I mean? Like, like I think that's an easy win with the regular Legion Go, which has detachable controllers and a bigger screen and 144 hertz. And so, yeah, I think they're just in a really bad position right now, and I can't even fathom buying either of these two at these prices. And that's a bad thing.
So, I like that you brought up Nintendo and you talked about how they responded to the tariffs, where we're going to keep the price the same and we're going to raise the price of all of our accessories. because we sell a lot of accessories, and Nintendo also licenses accessories, and they make money from, I don't know, I'm just going to make up a company like, we'll say D-Brand, although I don't think D-Brand actually does that kind of thing. That's a bad example. What's a company? What's the controllers?
Genki? I don't know.
Yeah, okay, Genki, sure.
Yeah.
Although Genki, they're pissed at Genki too.
That's
So I guess another bad one.
Maybe like Hori or something. Yeah.
Hori. So they work with Hori, and like Hori pays them to be able to do all of these things and connect to the Nintendo Switch. That's how they deal with the tariffs. You look at Lenovo, they don't really sell accessories for this device. I mean, sure, they have like those glasses that nobody's using. Like, was it Lenovo that does the glasses, or is that Asus?
Lenovo has glasses.
They both have them. Yeah, no.
They both have them. Okay, but they just don't have accessories, so they can't do the same thing. So, Rich, what do they do? What can they do to avoid raising the price of this, even though they clearly are raising the price?
They can't do anything, right? They do have partnerships with game stores that we saw with the original Legion Go and their launcher, and I think those partnerships have continued. So presumably they get a cut from sales of those games, but I can't imagine many people are buying games from the Lenovo Legion launcher. So there's nothing. They are going to have to suck it up and raise the price. So yeah. It's really rough, and I can't expect that other OEMs are going to continue investing in this space at this time, right? Like maybe they'll wait a beat, see how things kind of go from here, and then continue to invest. But at this point, I would be questioning the wisdom of investing in this space at this moment.
Yeah. And it's not just the handheld PC market, because it's also other stuff that's like, because I mean, in the States, we import everything. Like, we don't make things here anymore. We import things from other places because it's cheaper to make these things in other locations. One of those things being like little retro handhelds. And I know this is going to be painful, Russ, but like, this is going to affect your business, man.
Yeah, it's already like, so as of today, like things are looking pretty rough, like, so Anbernic, which makes probably of the cheaper handhelds, they're probably the largest one out there, and they've stopped shipments from China to US. They have a US warehouse, and so they've got some inventory, so you can order like older things and then grab it from there and whatnot. But how long is that going to last? And like today, they launched a new handheld, the RG557, and you just cannot buy it if you're in the United States. You can't get it from, well, Bill's got a review unit, but yeah, you can't buy it like right now. You can't get it on AliExpress. You can't get it directly from their website. It just isn't available. And so that's crazy. I don't know what the numbers are. I think their domestic market is still much larger than the international market, but still, that's a pain point. And then others, Retroid, AYN, so like all your Retroid Pockets, your Odin 2s, all that stuff, they're not shipping in the US right now. And so that's rough. Even this morning, I was like, let me see what it's like as just a regular customer. So I went on AliExpress, put in like, an Anbernic device, not sold from Anbernic, but from like, the retailers and stuff. Not a single one of them would allow me to check out. Every single one said not available in your location. And I don't know if that's a Hawaii thing, like they're treating us a little bit different or whatever, but I couldn't buy a single handheld if I wanted to right now. AliExpress just wouldn't even allow it. I was just trying to see what the tariffs would be, because I saw on Reddit somebody like tried to buy a $50 handheld and it had a $75 import fee. And so that's what I was trying to kind of see what it would be like. So it's rough, and yeah, we'll see how things go over time. But yeah, I'm not waking up in the best mood this morning after seeing all that stuff. Just crazy.
Yeah, so. I was a little confused when this showed up this morning. The retro, the Anbernic RG557 showed up. It showed up today, and I was like, why are they shipping this to me? They're not shipping it to the States anymore. I forgot that they already had warehouses, so it was probably already here. Much like lots and lots of Nintendo Switches, or Switch 2s, which we'll talk about later on in the show. In addition to like all the things that Russ was just mentioning, RetroTink, which is like this very expensive upscaler that you can get to take your old systems and upscale them to 4K. Those are no longer shipping to the US. I spent a lot of money on what's the N64 thing that's coming supposedly this summer?
Analog.
Yeah,
analog one.
I spent a lot of money on that analog 3D. I bought one of those. I bought 2 controllers, and then I have been going to my local shop and buying a bunch of old N64 games so that I can play them in 4K over there on my TV. I'm wondering if I'm ever going to get this thing. Like I already threw, what was it, $200 at this thing? Like,
yeah.
I wonder if I'm going to get hit with a tax when it gets here.
Right. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff back ordered. Like, so Taki Udon, who used to like be pretty active with his YouTube channel, he now does like hardware manufacturing. So he's made like this thing called a Mr. Pi, which is like its own Mr. console. He's got screens for the Nintendo Switch Lite that are OLED that you got to put in yourself, and then he's now made a Mr. style hardware thing, like a console that does PS1 and it looks like a PS1. So I've got the Switch screen and the PS1 thing on back order. I've been waiting on those for months. And yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen, if they're going to actually ship or if I'm just going to be hit with another charge, like an email that says, hey, if you still want this thing, you need to send us an additional $100 or whatever it happens to be, or just cancel your order. And so things are a lot in flux right now, which is kind of crazy.
Well, not only that, if you cancel your order, my guess is they already took that money and they spent it probably on stuff. And if they're big, like one of their biggest customers, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the like people in the US. If one of their biggest customers suddenly no longer will be able to buy stuff from them, they might just go out of business, and all of the money that you have given them might just vanish. And so we would just like, oh, I'm not going to get, if Analog decides, well, we're going to shut down, maybe I won't even get my $200 back.
Right.
And there's nothing I'll be able to do about it.
Yeah, they're sitting on, between those 2 pre-orders, because I got like the premium ones, they're sitting on about $300 of my money just right now. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to get that back? I don't know. Hope I get the thing.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. Tariffs suck. And they're making me very, very sad for, things that I spent money on that I may never receive. Go ahead, Rich.
One thing, I think that, well, number one, right? This is a good time for people to play games, right? You got a backlog. I know you have one. We have, our local markets and things like that, like eBay and stuff like, where you'll, if what you want to do is just game on your retro handheld, but you don't have one, well, first of all, buy one now, right? Like from one of the warehouses or something like that. But in the meantime, I'm sure some of these are going to hit the market on, secondhand, and you can buy that way. So yeah, number one, enjoy games. Number two, I think also like it could be that for, at least for consoles, not for the retro handhelds and, manufacturers out of China and things like that. But for consoles, you might see that lengthened generation again. The plan was to, release a new PS6, new Xbox within a couple of years. Maybe that waits a couple of years longer, right? And it's not a terrible thing. We have the PS5 Pro, we have things like that. So, we'll get to kind of settle into this generation. It felt like it was going fast anyway. So maybe those are the 2 silver linings to look at for the time being.
Yeah,
Such an optimist.
Point. Yeah. The other thing I was just thinking about, like, okay, say you take a random Ambernick handheld, which I kind of treat as like throwaway devices because they're usually around like $60, right? And it's it's just dinner and a movie, right? And so it's like, I don't put too much like longevity into them. But what if they become like collector's items? Like, hey, I've got this white one. It's now worth $200. Like, I can't even imagine that. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of hilarious that supply and demand.
With them putting out 30 of them every year, it's hard to make it so that they feel like they're worth keeping. Maybe this will make it so that they stop. Although they did kind of slow down this year, right, Russ?
They did, yeah. They did 12 releases last year, and they've only done 1 official release this year, and it was just this one that just came out. And there were so many last year that a lot of reviewers made videos saying, I'm not going to review all of these because I can't, and it made them less special, I think, for people who were getting, frequently getting them, you know what I mean? And so this kind of adds to their specialty now, where it's like, oh, this thing is actually special now that I've had it in my hands. I've got the time to play it and whatnot. And so, yeah, I think that even me as a content creator, I feel bad that people, like it's just going to be more difficult and challenging to buy and stuff. But it does give me space to make more tutorials, to kind of really squeeze the joy out of these handhelds, which is why I started my channel in the first place. I made my channel for one device, the RG350, when it first came out back in 2020. And now it's like, I probably made 30 videos about that one handheld. And so I kind of want to get back to that as well. I think it's pretty awesome.
One device gang. I'm part of that gang.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I like it.
All right, let's move on, and let's talk about another news story. Rich, why don't you pick a news story that we got here in our show notes, and we can discuss.
Should we go to, I guess, just the Mike Ibarra thing? I just want to talk about Oblivion Remastered, really. I don't really care about what Mike Ibarra had to say about Oblivion.
he said some very foolish things, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, even if that opinion is stupid.
Yeah.
But yes, Oblivion Remastered. Talk about it. What do you think?
Well, so I was already really fascinated with this from back when it was like a rumor, right? Like, I think it was a former employee of Virtuos who at the time we only knew of really as developing the Metal Gear Solid Delta remake, right? They've done other stuff, but that was the thing that we knew of them for. And so I think it was a former employee there that spilled the beans that this is going to be, that this company is already working on Oblivion Remastered and potentially, I want to say, another Elder Scrolls game, like another Elder Scrolls remake or something like that. I need to look back at the
Really?
rumor. I think so. Let me look back at it. I don't want to,
Morrowind, baby.
We can update the show notes after that. But the point that I was fascinated about was, number one, this is Virtuos. So like I thought Metal Gear Solid Delta was going to come out first. So I figured like, if Metal Gear Solid Delta is great, then I can look forward to Oblivion. But now it's the other way around, right? Oblivion was great. At least it's getting great reviews. So now I'm even more so looking forward to Metal Gear Solid Delta. And then the second thing was like the engine thing, where it's like dual engine, where it's still using Gamebryo for the game logic, but it's using Unreal Engine for the rendering. And I was really worried about how that would turn out. And, there are complaints about performance, but overall it seems that it turned out well. Like the game looks really good and it still plays like Oblivion. So if you just want like a performant version of Oblivion, well, you have that, right? Like you can go play the previous version of Oblivion. And I don't mean that like in a Switch to Doug Bowser kind of way. I mean, it's there and you probably already own it. So enjoy it. But if you want like the better looking version, something that looks more modern, now you have this. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Russ, so we're talking about Oblivion. We might as well shift into the games that we've been playing. Let's continue talking about Oblivion Remastered. Have you had a chance to play it yet, Russ?
So I have, but it's complicated. It's always complicated with me. But, so I got the studio, I got the house. I have two Xboxes, one at each, and at home, I've got the good Xbox, the Series X, like good graphics, all that stuff. And so I started to download as soon as I could with that. But it just bogs down the internet in the whole house and it's super slow. And we're talking like a gig an hour, like it's taking forever. And so, and then I have to pause it when I need to do something else, like upload a video or whatever, and so it's still is not finished downloading over there. Like I to my own credit, like I've paused it and forgotten about it for a day and then have to go back and unpause it. It's all my fault. But here at the studio, I just threw it on my Series S and it took, 20 minutes to download and it's been great. And so I've played through a bit here. So I don't have the full Series X experience in terms of graphics on a big screen and all that stuff. But it's looking great. And the thing for me is that it just feels very good. I mean, it feels Oblivion-y. It's like floaty or whatever, but it's just smooth frame rate and it just feels good. Like it feels like a modern game and whatnot. And I haven't gotten far. I'm still like in the underground before you even get into the overworld part. So it's like first 20, 30 minutes, But yeah, I cannot wait to play that on my Series X with a big TV and just kind of get into it again. I played the game back in the day on the 360. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Even aside from frame rate, and Bill, I know you have some hours on this, so you'll be able to tell us. But I heard they even retouched the animations, right? So like you're saying it feels good. Some of the animations have more of like a hit stun to them. So like you have more of game feel there where it's like, oh, I attacked the thing. It looks like I attacked the thing and it feels like I attacked the thing. Whereas certainly in original Oblivion, you didn't have that, right? Like it was just punching pillows, as Carrie likes to say.
But you know, there's
say
a charm
it feels
to
like
it.
sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like you'll
Right.
swing and like the thing you're attacking will be like, oh, I got hit. And you're like, I didn't come anywhere freaking close to you, man.
Yeah. I would say there's a charm to that too. Like I freaking love how things just ragdoll when you hit them. They're just like from one character animation to the next animation. And it's just like the rats are just like, boom, they're just over. And I love that. Like it's just so janky, but like fun, you know? And so I do like that aspect of it. And it feels to me like an old school RPG where it's like, okay, you killed the thing. Now it's dead. Move on to the next thing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to feel like real life. It can feel like you're just playing a tabletop RPG, like Dungeons and Dragons. Like that.
Yeah.
That feels really kind of cool. And I don't need beautiful animations for that stuff. I find humor in the fact that it's just like the rat immediately ragdolls. Like I love that.
Yeah.
Are you guys first person or third person players?
First person.
I'm a default player, so because Oblivion was just by default first person, I was all first person.
So I constantly swap back and forth, just depending, like just in the middle of combat, I'll click the right stick and it'll switch there's 3 modes. There's first person, third person, and then third person zoomed out a little bit more. They added to the game a sprint because the original Oblivion didn't have a sprint, and everybody is making fun of the sprint animation, which you will never see if you're in first person. But when you see it, I hate that anybody's making fun of it because it is hilarious. And I love it. Like the guy is almost horizontal with how far forward he is leaning. And you are just running
man.
You ever watch Friends? You know when Phoebe is running like a maniac on Friends? That's what your guy is running like, especially if like I've got a big shield and my character is running like this and this shield is just flopping all over the place. It is awesome.
God, I'm watching it now. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Yeah. You know, that's for me, those games in particular, I am that character. Like I am very empathetic as a player, but for those, they are me. I name them me. You know what I mean? Like they are me. I make my own backstory to it. So first person is the only way I can play that because it just kind of removes it. If I'm third person, like I need to be that guy, you know? And so, first person for me all the way with those games.
So I have put about, I'm going to say probably about 6 hours into it in the past 2 days because I'm currently on vacation, which is really nice. This all happened at the perfect time for me. Switch pre-orders. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. But I sat down and I played it yesterday or the day that it came out, and I played for 4 hours straight on my Xbox. I will say, Russ, when you get outside, your frame rate is going to tank, especially on the Xbox Series S.
Oh.
On the Series X, I am. It's mostly good, but sometimes in combat, when I'm in the overworld, I will have big frame dips. I've also seen weird either upscaling or frame generation artifacts on the Series X on the first day, but I think that they patched that stuff out because I haven't seen it since then. But then I made a video comparing how does this game look on the Steam Deck, on the ROG Ally X, on the Lenovo Legion Go S, and on the ROG Flow Z13 and my Xbox. And I showed footage of all of those, I thought I was so smart. I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play until I get outside. And then cloud saves will make it so that I can just grab the other device and pick up where I left off. No, I had to play the beginning of the game on every one of those devices because they didn't implement cloud saves the right way.
Goodness gracious.
So when you start playing, you're playing on Xbox, so you're going to be fine. But Rich, when you're playing on PC, make sure that you decide where you're going to be playing this thing.
Got it. All right, cool. I also want to talk about, did you have more on like your experience with the game?
Just that I'm absolutely loving it, but I'm running into the same issue that I always run into with Oblivion, and that is the grass is always greener as I try and decide do I want to be somebody who uses a lot of magic, or do I want to be somebody who's a sneaky thief, or do I want to be that guy that runs up and fights sword and board? And so part of me, and yesterday when I was making my video, it didn't help that I was replaying, because then I was like playing and I was like, oh, this mage guy feels really good. Maybe I'll remake my guy and start over again. So I'm trying not to do that, but this game is so fun. I love it.
A lot of analysis paralysis. I understand you can also like change up how you divvy up some of your experience points too, right? Like, which you couldn't do the same in Oblivion, the original. So
I don't remember how you did it in the original one. Do you?
Not particularly.
Okay, so basically, once you've used a skill enough times, it'll be like, you can rest, and then you go to sleep, and it pops up a little screen, and it says you've got all your stats, and you have, I think, 7 attribute points to spend, or maybe it's I think it's 12. You get 12 attribute points to spend, and you put them in whatever things you want. And that's basically awesome. How it works. Yeah.
Nice.
I will say, from my perspective, so I'm playing on like the easiest mode because I love that. For me, it's always, I don't want the challenge. I want the experience, and I understand that challenge can be the experience, but for me, I want to get through the game, So I've gone mage, like full on. And because I know that because I'm playing on very easy, I can still smack them and it's still going to be like effective as well. So I'm kind of doing best of both worlds in that way. And so I want to focus on the mage thing, which is something I never really did originally. And then also have the ability to just kind of plop them on the head if I need to as well.
It's funny. Yeah. I didn't really do mage either originally. So like, yeah, that sounds like fun.
I really like Oblivion. I will say I like how Skyrim handled magic better because you could have 2 spells, 1 in each hand. And on this, you can only equip 1 spell at a time. And then you just hold down the left bumper on your controller, and then you can select hotkeys and stuff, which is nice. But I like the idea of having a heal spell on my left hand and a destruction spell on my right hand, and fighting that way. But I never played a mage really in Oblivion, so I don't know if maybe later on that happens, but the way that I'm playing it now, it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, see, so that for me also works with an easy mode because I won't need to heal during combat. And so then I can just kind of focus on the attack part, and then in between battles or whatever, I can heal myself up. And for me, that feels more realistic. Again, very empathetic player. Like I want to be, if I'm in the middle of a battle, I don't want to stop and be like, hold on, I need to drink a potion or whatever. I want to just be in it and then recover afterwards. Like, ooh, look at that fight. Let's fix myself, So that to me adds the experience. And again, that's why I love difficulty sliders, because I can make my own story that way. And so, I'm really looking forward to playing this, which is crazy because I got so many other games I should be playing. But anyway.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk about, Bill, I'll send you a link in case you want to put it in the show notes, is how awesome Bethesda has been throughout all of this. So one of the stories I saw was Bethesda provided game codes for the Oblivion Remaster to the entire Skyblivion team. So if you don't know what Skyblivion is, it is a remake of Oblivion, but in the Skyrim engine, and it's being done by modders. And so there was some concern leading up to the launch of Oblivion Remastered. Although we didn't know it was being launched, we did know it was being worked on. So there was some concern that they may, especially now that it's under Microsoft, may come and shut down Skyblivion or cease and desist or something like that. But it seems like the team has been, the Oblivion team or Bethesda or Microsoft has been very receptive of Skyblivion and the team there. And provided copies to everyone on that team. So that's amazing.
I think it's smart too, because you think about Skyblivion, those are enthusiasts, right? Those are people who are into it. They have bought the game so many times over, right? And so these are people, and it's probably a niche kind of use case as well, and so it is not hurting their bottom line to allow it to continue to run and to even help them out. You know what I mean? Because the vast majority of people are going to be like, oh, it's free on Game Pass, grab it, and that's their vision anyway. So I think it's really cool that they're not spending any effort to try to take these guys down, because it would just make things look kind of negative. And so, I really love that. Like let the enthusiasts do their thing, and they're the most loyal followers anyway. And so they're going to have already paid for it as well.
Absolutely. Also, not hurting their bottom line, even with being, available for free on Game Pass, it is at the top of Steam's top sellers list. And so it's been selling really well on Steam as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have Game Pass. I bought it on Steam because I wanted to try it because I was going to make that video anyway. But then I could also try it on my computer instead of just on the handhelds. So, I mean, I bought it even though I have Game Pass. All right. So, I mean, we've been talking about the games that we've been playing. Both Russ and I only played Oblivion this week. Rich has 1,000 games. Why don't we let's pick one and talk about it?
Are there any that you want to hear about, or should I just go for it?
Well, so I definitely want to hear about Bionic Bay because for those of you, well, I mentioned this when in last week's episode of the podcast where I just did it by myself. I said, my friend Rich sent us this message. It said, guys, and then in all caps, guys, Bionic Bay is awesome. And so I definitely want to hear why you love this game so much because you were fired up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Bionic Bay, like if I had to give it the quick 5-second TLDR, it's Limbo, but parkour, right? So like Limbo, the cinematic platformer, black and white, and Bionic Bay is in black and white, but it's very like, not mono, but like, there's some
austere or something.
Yeah. Austere. Yeah. But yeah, it has that same sort of atmosphere. The like setting feels a little bit like Axiom Verge, where you're just like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm in this weird factory, like sci-fi industrial kind of setting. But it's all very bleak. And you also have like fun movement mechanics where you can dodge roll, you can jump and then dodge again. So you can really get some height. And then you have these other mechanics like a swap mechanic where you can swap with an object, right? So like if you touch a block and then you press the swap button, you swap positions with the block. So that's helpful if you want to like launch a block forward and then you swap and now you're launching forward and the block is back there. So it has all of these things and it combines it really well. It feels a little bit long. Like I thought it would be snappier. Like it's not a long game. I think it's 6 to 8 hours, but I thought you would get newer mechanics more quickly. So it's starting not to get long in the tooth, but like I would like it a little bit snappier. But I'm really enjoying like light puzzle, but like enough to feel fulfilling, and light platforming, but good enough where they have these speedrun levels like that you can optionally do against other people and just try to compete on the leaderboard. And that is a blast too.
Man, I'm looking at this right now, and this is right up my alley. It's got time manipulation as well, so you can like slow down time if you need to, and then you can rotate the world. Like so, you're falling one way, now you need to fall down, so you rotate the world instead of you. Oh man, I just added to my wish list.
Yeah,
I was watching Russ while Rich was talking. I was watching Russ, and he was looking down, and I was thinking he's going to say I just bought it, and he didn't, but he at least added it to the wish list.
Right?
Yeah. The other reason I liked it, like I did the guys, is because like I feel like we rarely get games where like all four of us don't have like a big, oh, this is too difficult, this is too easy. Something about this just feels right in terms of difficulty where like you can approach it in a way that like you don't have to engage with the more difficult mechanics. But you can if you want to. So I like that.
Is there a difficulty slider?
No, it's just that I find that if you just play the game, like it's not hard. But if you try to do just fancy stuff or you do the speed running stuff I was talking about, then it gets hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And for me too, like a difficulty slider is only required for me, like whether it's an RPG or an action game and stuff, because part of me doesn't want to make the investment to get good, but like a game like Celeste or Portal or whatever, like those don't have difficulty sliders, but I don't care. Like I just want to play it as it's been envisioned, and the difficulty spikes are not something like, it's more puzzly, if anything, and I don't mind that. Like I don't want that dumbed down. I just don't want to have, I don't want to have bullet sponges.
Yeah.
And so this makes sense to me.
The checkpoints too are like really generous, right? So if you get stuck, you it's right there. You don't have to like backtrack and do all that stuff.
Nice.
One of my favorite mechanics in a game with checkpoints is Super Meat Boy, because when you die in that game, you are instantly right back. There is absolutely zero downtime from the time that you die until the time that you can move your character again. And that just almost forces you to keep going and keep trying.
Yeah, Celeste is like that too. Like it's got a bit of a pause, but it's enough. And it celebrates your deaths. You know, it tells you how many times you've died for each level. And so I kind of like that as well.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, before we, next up, I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders because they're crazy. But first, I want to hear what Rich thinks about Blueprints. And I'm looking at my battery in my camera, and it is dying right now. Okay. So I am going to just let Rich talk about Blueprints real quick. I'm going to listen, and I'll respond afterwards. Go.
Okay. I'm also curious because you played a bit too. So I want to hear your thoughts on the little bit that you played. But Blueprints, Carrie had been talking about it a couple times on previous episodes. And it's Blueprints, as in son of a king, so Prince. But it is a play on the word, right? Like blueprints. So because it's a roguelike where you inherit something, but what you inherit is like a game. Like you're supposed to beat this puzzle. And the puzzle is essentially make it to what's called the antechamber, which is like the last room in the house. And you're building the house basically room by room.
Interesting. Okay.
Until you get there. But it's a little harder.
That's the roguelike element? Is like building?
Yes, except it's a little harder than just getting to the room. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's quite a bit harder than just getting to the room. I'll say this. I've gotten to a room adjacent to that room, and I'm still not. A few times, and I still haven't beaten the game. So, so every day you start over. If you end the day, if you, for example, you run out of steps, so you have a number of steps that you can take throughout the day. You can refresh steps or things like that. But at the end, there's just a number that you can reach. You can also run out of resources. So there's like keys. And basically, as you get deeper into the house, because the house is essentially or the mansion is a grid, a 5 width, I think 10 deep grid. And each cell in that grid can be a room. And so the deeper you get, the more locked doors you're going to have. And so you try to use your keys and you run out of keys and things like that. So there are other resources you can run out of too, like gems. And so what happens is at the beginning, you're presented with 3 doors in the center all the way at the beginning of the mansion. And you can basically choose which one of the rooms you're going to create, because they give you 3 choices. And so you choose based on like the resources that it may offer or the doors that it may open. Like, does it open a door up or to the right or whatever? And so you do based on that. And you try to just get deeper and deeper every day. And you just uncover all of these secrets, kind of like, not The Witness, but like you just learn more about the mechanics of the house. And so like there are these other rooms that you might want to go to where you're like, oh, if I did that, then I can connect to a terminal that I was not able to connect to before and learn how to complete a puzzle.
So do the rooms, like, you talk about you're presented with the 3 rooms when you first walk in, like, do those change up? Is it randomly generated, or is it all like one single? Also, it's randomly generated, but it'll open up other opportunities for new rooms you hadn't seen before because it's going to be random.
Yes. And there are ways to impact the pool of rooms. So you may unlock a room that says, if from now on, we'll generate more green rooms. Each of the rooms have like a color. And so you can impact the pool, and that can be better for you or worse for you depending on what you unlock.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can unlock things that will give you bonuses based on the color of the rooms that you have in the house. So if you have like 5 red rooms in the house, then you do this other thing, you're going to get rewarded for having that many red rooms.
Yeah. So it's very like, I don't know if insidious is the right word, but like you expect one thing and it keeps subverting that expectation. And it's like, oh, actually you can do this thing that you didn't know you can do. And that kind of, and then your mind's just blown and it's like, wait, if I can do that, then yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this feels like a game I could definitely get immersed in, but I would need like a plane ride. You know what I mean? Like I would need to be like focused in it. I don't think this is like a 10 minutes a day kind of game for me.
No, I had the benefit of a plane ride.
Ah, nice.
That's right. You could also, and also you want to have a notepad. They even tell you in the game, like you want to write things down so you can remember later what kind of things are going on.
I've been playing completely on Steam Deck, so I've been using just Steam Notes and Steam Pictures. That's enough for me.
Oh, just screenshotting stuff?
Yeah, that's it.
Nice. That's smart.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I played probably 3 days so far of it, not like 3 in-game days, because, you know, I'm sure Rich talked about it while I was fighting with my camera. But I like it, and I can definitely see why people love it, but I don't like it enough to go back to it. I think I'm going to probably try and give it another day, but now I'm hooked on Oblivion, and I can't, like, I felt like every time I played Blueprints, the only way that I could get it to really click for me is to put on a podcast and listen to something while I'm playing, because it's a very, very quiet game. Like nothing is happening.
Yeah. You know, now that you say that, it reminds me, the other thing it reminded me of was Gone Home, where, have you played that, Bill?
I haven't played it, but I know about it because of my old podcast, 143 Pixels. I had a guest on, and they were talking about that's one of their favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it. Love it.
Yeah, it's really good. And so it does have a bit of that like lonely feeling, and not quite creepy, but maybe a little bit unsettling. And again, with Gone Home, you're sort of uncovering something, right? Like along the way, you're uncovering things, and there's a lot of that in Blueprints, both lore wise, but also just gameplay wise.
Yeah, I was thinking What Remains of Edith Finch as well. I kind of have that darker look to it, and kind of walking simi, in a house.
Exactly.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny you talked about like this game getting oblivioned, but I'm feeling the same way about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, because that came out too. Yes. I downloaded that on my Xbox Series S. I haven't even popped it open yet, but man, like I was hoping a Barbenheimer thing would happen, where like people would play both, but I'm a little bit worried about this one, and that it may go, Clair Obscur might become a little bit more obscure because it's got Oblivioned, basically.
Clair Oblivion 33.
I've seen the reviews. The reviews are really good, right? For Clair Obscur.
Yeah.
The user reviews are really good. So I'm sold. I'm going to buy it.
It's one of those games that'll be waiting for us later anyway, know, and it's on Game Pass, so it's like I don't have a lot of urgency for it as well. But, it's a French studio, and the joke I've seen is the first JRPG, like the J apostrophe RPG. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's awesome.
There is another game. Sorry, there is another game called Post Trauma that was published by Raw Fury. I think it came out the same day as Oblivion, which there was an article on The Verge or something like that. If I find it, I'll give it to you, Bill, where, they talk about we literally got Oblivion, right? Like they were hoping for some following on day one, and just it didn't happen. So I'll kind of give you the synopsis real quick. Post Trauma is a puzzle horror game inspired by PS2 era classics. So like Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil of that time. So definitely something to look out for if you're into those kind of games.
That's awesome. Just right now we have so many really great games to play, and I think that it's an embarrassment of riches. How not that kind of rich, but so many games to play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, let's talk about Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders. So, Rich Russ, I did it. There we go. Rich, did you get one?
I did not get one.
Okay.
I did not get one.
Did you try to get one?
Sort of. So I'll say the midnight for me, it was midnight EST, and I'm EST. So that for me was like, my bedtime now is like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Like I go to bed on time these days. And I'm like, am I really going to stay up for the chance to get a Switch 2 and like then be really disappointed when I don't get one? And so, I didn't do it. And then I tried the next day, and obviously it was, they were all gone. So I did not. Yeah. How about you?
I did. I think that we may have 2 coming in, one for me, one for my son.
Nice.
I'm a little worried because, so what we did is obviously midnight. We were up watching a show, my wife and I, and we were like, okay, pause the show. Let's pre-order. We set an alarm. She got on her phone. I got on my laptop, and we just sat there, and I had like all the tabs open, and I was refreshing each tab, and she's going through. She's like, I'm in line in Walmart. Yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I felt like such a freaking idiot because I'm sitting there, and I would go to each page, and it would say, you're in line, or it would say you're in line, and I didn't scroll down. I would refresh the page, and it had this red banner across the middle that was like, you're going to do pre-orders soon. I was like, okay, I got it. And my wife looks over, and I'm refreshing all of the pages. She goes, scroll down. I go, what do you mean? She goes, it's down on the bottom of the page. And so I scrolled down, and I clicked it, and then I was able to get in line. And so then I was in line, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And it was probably like 2 a.m. And when we finally got through,
yeah,
and I was able to order one, she was able to order one. And the reason I say I think is because we both got them from Walmart, and we're at the same address. And I'm worried that they're going to say, well, you can't do that, you know? Yeah. But it was 2 different credit cards.
There you go. Hopefully not. Hopefully they honor that, because that is legit.
Right. Fingers crossed anyway. According to Russ, did you get one?
I did eventually. I didn't get one. Someone got one for me. So it's all my fault. So, midnight EST is 6 p.m. here, and we were making steaks, and sous vide steaks at that. So, you put them in the bag, put them in the water bath, so like a specific temperature, and then you like sear them afterwards. And my wife she wanted to learn how to do it because I usually do it, but she's like, I want to do this without you, So I was kind of teaching her and like involved in all that stuff. And then I just blew past 6 p.m. So it was around 6:30 by the time I was like, oh crap. And I didn't have my phone on me, which I had set an alarm for, so I didn't hear it, And so by the time I got onto the internet and was trying to go, like, I was messed up, Best Buy like allowed me to get in line. And I was sat in line for an hour, and then it kicked me out. So I got back in line, and I never got it. Walmart and all the other ones, just all sorts of issues. I'd add it to the cart, and it would say nope. And so eventually, somebody else here on island was able to get 2, and so he messaged me. He was like, "Hey, I got one," and he's like, "It's not the Mario Kart bundle; it's just the regular one." He's like, "But I'll sell it to you, or whatever." So I'm hooked up at this point. But yeah, I was not able to get one myself. But it's the steak's fault. So
yeah,
it's the steak. I don't know what sous vide steak is, but that sounds interesting, and I'm going to have to ask my wife about that because she knows how to cook stuff, and I do not. Well, Bloomberg says that they expect that the Switch 2 launch will launch with 6 to 8 million consoles available June 5th. Worldwide, and that sounds like you hear that and you're like, well, the Switch 1 sold 150 million, so that's not great. No. That's 150 million over the lifetime of the Switch 1.
Right.
This is supposedly the biggest console launch in video game history, and that's for a device that a lot of people are mad about. And when I say a lot of people, I think it's a small number of loud people, and the people who, like, the majority of people, they're just like, yeah, whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Rich?
No, I think you're right. I think 6 to 8 is, if I were pressed for like, what do I think it'll sell kind of day one, I certainly wouldn't have guessed 6 to 8. That's tremendous, obviously, being potentially the biggest console launch in history. And I think that's way above what I would have thought. Certainly, they need to kind of come out the gate swinging. But I think they are doing their best with in terms of like the tariffs and things like that. And the games look like they're going to deliver. And I know I'm kind of leading up to another topic, but the this or that, we have a lot of, this or that for like which games Nintendo's going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And the way I see that is that, like, man, they just have so many bullet points that they can hit over the next few months. And I think they are going to try to hit those bullet points. And I think it's going to be big for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's really interesting. You know, they had 2.2 million pre-orders through just Nintendo's like reservation system in Japan. That's insane. It was like 2.8 million worldwide sales of the Switch 1 on day one or whatever. You know what I mean? So they like Japan alone is almost meeting worldwide sales. And so that's, I think, part of the projection there. And it just leads me to think like, you know, are there just because there's more people on the planet nowadays? Not that much, you know what I mean? Or is it just there's just more nerds? Like, what is it that is causing this like amount of pre-orders? You know,
Animal
is
Crossing.
it because people? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like the nostalgia of 2020 and like being stuck and playing the Animal Crossing. I don't know. Or maybe that because it's so out of cycle with the PS5 and Xbox, like people are ready for a new console. There's no competition there of like, which one are you going to buy? I don't know. It's just crazy that it's this high. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Well, they did say, this is so silly. I found this over on Kotaku. It says, Nintendo warns some Switch 2 pre-order invites might not arrive until after launch. So this is talking about Nintendo's website, where you go to Nintendo's website, which we can't even do yet. That's on May 8th. Am I right about that? I think it's May 8th. Somebody in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong. But we can't even go to Nintendo's website and like we've gone there and said, tell me when I can pre-order. And I did that. And that's not going to happen until May 8th when they will start sending those out. But they're saying some pre-order invites might not get here until after launch, which makes them, that's not pre-order then. That's a post order.
That's order. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an order. I think, and I'm stealing somebody's joke I saw on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but somebody replying to Bob. It was a post order. Then why even have a pre-order? Like they should have set a limit of this is how many that we will take, and we won't take any more than that. But woof. When I saw it, I got kind of panicky. Like, oh no, am I not going to get the one that I ordered?
Yeah, and
or they should do like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go for it, Russ, please.
I was going to say they should do a Steam Deck thing where it's like you can put in your pre-order, but you get a time with it, like this quarter, that quarter kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that's the thing. If it's truly the biggest console launch in video game history, like just regular launches don't really go very well all the time. So there's only so much you can do. And even Nintendo kind of providing direct pre-orders, that's something new. And so, you know, maybe you'll be able to buy it in store before you get that, post-order notification. Who knows? But, you know, at least that it will be available in retail stores at some point. And so when the desire dies down, you can go pick it up that way.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We got this or that, which I definitely want to hit real quick. But first, Discord, which is basically has taken over gaming as a way for gamers to talk to each other. Well, the CEO has stepped down, is going to be replaced with the former Activision Blizzard CSO as they work towards going public. Now, I've said a million times in the past that when things go public, that's when we, the users, stop being the customers and the stockholders start being the customers. And I'm starting to wonder, is there something else that we can use that's better than Discord? Because Discord is I'm anticipating it's going to be bad after this, after it goes public. What do you think about that, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, like to your point about IPOs and going public, I mean, really what it is that Discord takes a lot of money to run, right?
Yes,
and
it does.
They're not making a lot of money. It's not. I don't know that many people that have a Nitro subscription. Like
I'm just going to jump in here real quick. I had one.
Yeah. Did you pay for it?
Yeah. I had a Nitro subscription because I was like, well, I wanted to send a file to somebody and the file was too big and it was just easier. And I was like, well, I'll try it out. No. And then I just left it. But then I kept getting ads anyway. Like those little ads that show up on the bottom left corner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would have stayed a Nitro subscriber just to get those stupid ads, which, by the way, right now there is one on my screen for Delta Force rewards available.
Don't give them any press.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll bleep that out in post if I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
what were you saying?
I see that too. It's one of those things where like even, Google or whatever, like you have been the product the entire time, right? Like they are banking on making money off of you, even if you're not the one paying. And so I agree. It's going to get worse, most likely, or, they're going to charge for it, which is another way of getting worse. I don't have an alternative for you right now. I think interestingly, right, like Discord it is gaming focus, but it clearly has transcended that, right? Like Midjourney being one of the big examples where Midjourney, when it first launched and you wanted to generate AI images, you had to do so through Discord. That was the only way to use Midjourney. So definitely transcended that. And I can see why they're trying to go public and kind of recoup some of their cash.
Russ, any thoughts on Discord, or do you want to move on?
No, I was bummed out when seeing this news, just because, I feel the sentiment that, it's going to become a worse experience. And how bad is it going to get? Are they going to boil that frog slowly or what, And there's no real alternative. I mean, right now, when I wake up in the morning, I check Discord before email, before anything else, because I'm like, or if something urgent happened, someone sent me a DM, and that says a lot about the platform, is that's the first thing I check if I need news or whatever.
We have a friend group at work that we all have a Discord together, because some of us are on Android and some of us were on iOS, and it was just messing up things. This is before like iOS did before that kind of got fixed with whatever Band-Aid was put on it. We were like, well, I use this thing for gaming called Discord, where we can all have conversations, and we're not, because what would happen if the three of us were in a group and Russ has a Android phone and Rich liked a message that I sent, it would send a text message to Russ that said Rich likes something, and it was just kind of annoying. So we were like, well, let's use this instead. But if it's going to get bad, then we're going to have to find some other way to, like, I don't know. I've had a Discord channel, the NerdNest Discord channel, for longer than I've had the NerdNest YouTube channel. Like, it's been a long time, and they've got a lot of stuff in there. It just sucks. Anyway, let's move on to a new game called This or That. I posted over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/NerdNest, and Russ did the same thing over at youtube.com/RetroGamecore. A question. I said, what scenarios do you have where there's an A answer or a B answer? And we had a bunch of people send in their answers, and so we're gonna go through a couple of these, starting with Ronald Mario. I don't
Marrero.
Marrero. Thank you. I don't know how to read names. They said PS6 will be able to run PS3 games natively and upscaled, similar to Xbox backwards compatibility, or Steam Deck 2 ships as a handheld without a screen, but instead includes a VR headset or AR glasses. So one of these things, which one do you think is more likely to be true? Russ?
I do not think that we will be able to play PS3 games natively on the PSX or PS6. So I just have to default to the other, even though they're both pretty unlikely,
Right.
Because Valve is really pushing towards like AR and VR, well, not AR, but VR and whatnot. Like I could see that as a more plausible thing. I don't think Sony is like having meetings where like, how can we get PS3 games to the people natively? Like I just don't see that happening. So yeah, I'm going to go with that as opposed to this.
Perfectly said.
What's that, Rich?
I said perfectly said. I don't think I can add on to that. That's perfect.
Yeah. All right. This or that from Emilio Sanchez. He said SteamOS releases officially for consumer use on desktop. And I'm going to add an addendum in here supporting NVIDIA cards as well, before Xbox creates a proper gaming Windows for handhelds. What do you guys think? Rich?
This is tough too. Just they both seem not unlikely. They both, like, Xbox and Valve both want to do these respective things. So who has more? Here's the thing: Microsoft has more like manpower, right? Yeah, and Valve has maybe more will. But officially for consumer use. Okay, so like that's going to happen, but will it be available for like NVIDIA cards? And what does that mean? So there's so many variables here that's hard to answer, but I'm still going to answer. I'm going to say the first one. SteamOS officially releases consumer use on desktop before Xbox creates a proper gaming Windows for handheld.
And not only that, I'm going to agree with you. And here's why. I wonder if Microsoft just says with the tariffs, screw it. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah. Yeah. But Russ was shaking his head.
Good point. Yeah, I was shaking my head. So it all comes down to the definition of proper. It says proper gaming Windows for handhelds. The thing is, Microsoft I see is more apt to release something that kind of sucks as opposed to Valve who will just wait until it's good enough, and so that leads me towards Microsoft shooting first, but then you put the word proper in there and it's like, who's defining proper? Because Microsoft's going to define their own proper and that may not be our proper. And so I would say that Microsoft's going to release something before Valve in that regard, just because of the way they like to shoot first. So
I will say that
I like that answer.
The Steam Deck is awesome now, but it's a very different story at launch.
Sure.
Like it was very different. And yeah, I know that usually Valve waits until it's done cooking before they ship something. I think that they did a lot of cooking after they had these handhelds in people's hands. So it's not always wait until it's done.
That's true.
Yep. Very fair.
All right. We got one from Ave Dude that says, will we get a new 3D Mario or a new 2D Mario first on Switch 2? And then they said in parentheses, Super Switch for Carrie. Rich, which one are we getting first? A 2D or a 3D Mario?
I'm thinking of this Nintendo as a Nintendo that likes money, and I would prefer to see a new 2D Mario first, but I think it's going to be a new 3D Mario because I think those are the ones that really sell consoles, sell people on the experience of Nintendo. And to be clear, I would enjoy both. I think the reason I'm looking forward to a new 2D Mario is I think a Switch 2 with the mouse mode, I think Mario Maker 3 is the right call. I think it's time for Mario Maker 3. But at the same time, Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever the new 3D Mario would be, I think would be huge. So I'm going with 3D Mario.
I was waiting. I was watching the door behind you to see if Bob Wolf would burst through the door and be like, yes, that's the right answer. Because he loves Mario Maker. Russ, 2D or 3D Mario coming first?
I think just realistically, a 3D Mario makes more sense. They've probably been working on it for a while. We just got Mario Wonder last year before. And so I feel like they're good on 2D Mario for a while. And honestly, that one did not resonate as much as I think a lot of people were hoping. Yeah. And so I can see them being like, all right, let's invest in a 3D Mario. And I just wonder what they're going to call it, Super Mario Universe or something, I don't know.
Yeah. And then we've got two more. This one comes from Sate Zero, the Moon King. Hello, Your Highness. They said, from the eyes of a console gamer, would you trade having free quality net play at the cost of ending all services like Xbox Game Pass? Which would do more good for the industry? So you have two things to choose from: free net play or no Game Pass ever again, like that kind of thing. I'm going to go first.
Free gameplay would lead to no Game Pass, you think?
Free online play. So you know how like we pay for online gaming?
Yeah.
Right. So they're saying...
So I see it as like the PC model where you don't pay it on Steam. You don't pay for net play to be able to play with others, but you also don't get like free games and all the other things that come with Game Pass.
Yeah. Okay. I'm rolling.
So would you make that choice, Russ?
I would rather have Game Pass personally. I don't play online. I don't use NetPlay with any of those services that I pay for. It's just a matter of what service do they provide me that's good. And usually for like Game Pass, for example, being able to quote unquote rent these games before I buy them, or the ability to have cloud saves and, like they used to have the Xbox games with gold. I don't know if they still have that, where it's like every month you would get a free game and stuff. Like I've always enjoyed that stuff. Now, PlayStation service got so bad that I just canceled it because it no longer had any value to me. And that's because, again, I didn't play NetPlay. And so I was really looking at the perks and I was like, these perks aren't worth it. And so that's how it is for me.
What about you, Rich?
I don't know. So for me, I'm currently playing online, right, with Marvel Rivals. I've been playing that for a few months, but here's the thing, you can do that for free on PS5 and Xbox. So you don't need a subscription to play the free to play games. But at the same time, I don't really use Xbox Game Pass. I have subscribed from time to time. Do I think in terms of what would do more good for the industry? Man, that is tough. So let me also say Xbox 360, right, and Xbox Live did a lot, even though it took away, think of like just servers, gaming on a server, and now you're doing like peer-to-peer. That model just did a lot for advancing online gameplay on consoles and even in general. And so like if a subscription model that came out of that is sort of a necessary evil, I'm not too mad at it. But you're also talking to someone who plays on PC partially because I don't have to pay for online play, because like Russ, I don't play a lot, but when I do play online, I don't want to have to now sign up for something, play online and do that. So I'll say I'll go with free net play.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking, well, you could just get on PC, and like the one advantage that the consoles have is, voice comms, but now we have Discord, but Discord's going public, and it might get worse, or they might take stuff away, or they might make you pay for it. So I don't know. Like, this is a really good question. I think that Game Pass overall, even though I really like Game Pass, part of me feels like it's hurting the industry as a whole, and so I would like to get rid of it. And if that comes with a bonus of free net play, well, that doesn't seem like really a choice. But at the same time, I still subscribe to Game Pass, even though I think it's bad for the industry, because it is a good deal, especially like lately, because it's just been banger after banger from Game Pass.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think it's kind of like each console just has an online service, and that online service is either a good or a bad deal, and that includes net play and all the other things. And for me, only the Xbox One is one that I gladly pay. I pay the Nintendo Switch one, but that's for like my kids and stuff, But yeah, that's about it. Like I just don't see. Like that, I like that idea. Like it's a service, and if the service is good enough, you pay for it, and if it's not, you don't. And it all comes down to that. But for me, net play is not a factor, and so that's why it's not a vote for me.
All right, we got another this or that, and this one comes from Justin Baker. He says, which is teased first, a new 3D Mario platformer or a new there's that proper again, or a new proper 3D Zelda? Now, I'm assuming when they say proper 3D Zelda, they wouldn't count Link's Awakening, because that is kind of it is 3D, but it's also isometric at the same time. So that's not proper 3D. So we're guessing as to what Justin means here, but I'm assuming they mean Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Those are proper 3D Zeldas. The other ones not. So which one do you think comes first? A new 3D Mario or a new 3D Zelda? Russ?
So I think teased is the operative word here, right? Which one they can tease first? I still think it's going to be Mario, because we just got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So they're going to focus on like getting those HD remakes like pushed a little bit more, because I bet you if they're like, oh, and next we've got, whatever they name the next one, that's going to hurt sales for the current ones. And so I feel like they're just primed, marketing wise for a 3D Mario at this point.
Rich?
Yeah, agreed. They're going to go hard on buy Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom again for Switch 2. Buy the upgrade, whatever you need, and then they'll sell us a new 3D Mario. That's what I think. And we were talking about what that 3D Mario might be, and Mario Universe or whatever. I think Mario Odyssey was popular enough. You could do a Mario Odyssey 2. And I've been playing that lately with my daughter, and it's still fun. So definitely that game.
I friggin' love Mario Odyssey.
I'm trying to think like sequel wise 3D, like we've only got Mario Galaxy 2, and
That's
I feel
true.
like that one was just kind of rehash. And so I wonder and worry that if they put the word 2 on it, then people are just going to think it's a rehash, like DLC kind of thing, So I feel like a new total title would be a requirement for the new generation kind of thing.
That's a good point.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so I agree with both of you guys about these, that it's going to be a 3D Mario before a 3D Zelda, but my reason is a different reason. Here's the reason. There's a Zelda movie coming. And the best thing that they could do is release their new Zelda game, alongside the new Zelda movie. And the Zelda movie, I believe, is supposed to come out in 2027. So my guess is we'll get a remake of some Zelda game. We'll get an actual 3D Mario platformer. And then in 2027, when the Zelda movie comes out, that's when you'll see a new Zelda game. And I feel like they really buttoned up the story. Even though I'm famously have said that I think that the story in the Zelda is not important at all. It's just your story is important. What did you do? Well, I went over here and then I did this, and then I went over here and I did this. It's not about the lore of Hyrule. It's more about your experience, which is why I love that game so much. I feel like it won't be in the same series. It'll be something new. It'll be a new Zelda, but that's just my opinion. All right. Thank you guys for responding to the this or that. Make sure that you check out youtube.com/nerdnest. Watch for those posts. And when you see those posts, I'll have the same graphic up there and you guys can reply. And we can include these in future episodes of the podcast. Another way that you can interact with the podcast is by sending a voice message over to voicecast.app/nerdnest. And we got one here from Anonymous. They didn't leave their name, but I think that they have a really good question. Give it a listen.
Do you guys have any rules, like self-imposed rules, that you just don't allow certain types of microtransactions for yourself? Because for me, I just don't do skins. Like, I will buy DLC content, anything. Like, if it's actual content, I'm okay with it. But for me, I just can't do cosmetics, microtransactions. I don't know. What do you guys think? Love the show.
Thank you so much for calling in. Rich, what do you do?
Yeah, so I definitely do not buy cosmetics, but I will say it's not necessarily like hard and fast. It's not that I can't think of a time where I have bought cosmetics. So in that way, it's hard and fast. But at the same time, I think what it is more so that I'm not excited about cosmetics, right? Like I'm not like, oh yeah, I need that costume. I need that skin. So I'm going to spend $2.99 on it. In fact, with Marvel Rivals, it's just, I feel like I've gotten away with not spending any money. So like, I feel great. Like, this is awesome. This is a great game. I've already put in almost, over 250 hours, and I have like a dozen skins that I just equip by default just because I've grinded them. But I don't really care. I would play with the base skin. That's fine.
So for me, I don't have a rule against cosmetics, but when I have bought cosmetics in the past, and mostly it's my way of rewarding a developer for making a game that I'm spending a stupid amount of time in and not spending a whole lot of money in. So, for example, Guild Wars 2, which is one of my all-time favorite MMOs, it was like a $50 game, and there was no sub fee, and you just freaking played, and you could play for there was so much to do in that world. It was just a mountain of content to get through. And every once in a while, I would go to the Black Lion key dispensary and I would buy a Black Lion key, and then I would use it to unlock some cool costume for my character, because I was spending hours upon hours in this game and they weren't getting any money from me outside of the original $50 thing. And this was for years. Like, I was literally playing this game for years, that I would play it almost every single day. So like that kind of thing, that's when I support. But when I'm playing a game like Marvel Rivals or Fortnite or something like that, I tend not to spend money on playing dress up. Russ?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. Like, I just, I don't have a rule about it, but like, if it's cool enough, like, I'll do it. Like I mentioned like, on the last podcast, like Destiny 2, like I bought a dance emoji because it was so hilarious to use it with my friends and stuff. Like, if they get something that rises to the point where I'm like, all right, this is now actually worth my money, I'll totally do it, you know. I just haven't been invested in a game like that has those kinds of transactions in so long that it just doesn't really come across as a thought. But yeah, in general, I don't even buy DLC content because I barely get through vanilla games. And so it's like, why would I buy the DLC for it? I have been thinking about Final Fantasy 16 because, you know, I finished that one over like Christmas period, and it's got 2 big expansions. And I've been thinking like, if I was to buy DLC, it would be like those, so I can get back into the game without having to replay something, but have something new to play. Like that makes sense to me, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing with like Ghost of Tsushima. Like I finished the game, but I have the DLC that came with it because I got the Game of the Year edition. Like that kind of stuff makes sense. It's like to replay a bit of a game that I've already played through. Cosmetics wise, if there was a cool Ghost of Tsushima like costume or something, like I put 40 hours in that game, I could see that, you know what I mean? And just kind of adding a little bit, you know, a couple dollars or whatever it would be. That would be worth it for me.
Yeah, but the thing is, with a game like that, that's a game where you're mostly playing single player, especially because you famously don't do multiplayer stuff because you don't like the pressure of worrying about letting people down or whatever.
Real people. Yeah.
But you've already put 40 hours into the game. If you buy the cosmetic, like the amount of time that you're actually going to be able to utilize that cosmetic is not going to be a lot. So for an example that I would give is Breath of the Wild had the DLC. And one of the things that they showed off at the Game Awards, they were like, hey, look at this. You can get a freaking motorcycle. Link can ride a motorcycle. And I was like, hot dog, I'm buying that because this is going to be awesome. And I bought the DLC and I played through all the content and it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I didn't get the motorcycle until the very end. And then I was like, well, I'm already done with the game. I'm done with the DLC. Why the hell would I keep, like, I don't have nothing else to do except for find Korok seeds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a balance, right? So for me, I put 40 into the game. I got 20 more left probably with the DLC.
Oh, okay.
And so you got to find that moment where you're like, all right, I love this game. I've got my money's worth. I want to maybe invest a little bit more. Then you can buy a costume for $2 and then play your additional 20 hours kind of thing. But I get it. I know what you mean. Like you don't want to have that as an end game material, you know? And so it is kind of rare for me. Like, because I don't play like constant games very often. And so, yeah, I'm probably not a good use case, but I'm not opposed to anything. As long as it just makes sense and is fun, you know, it's worth a couple bucks.
Well, let us know in the comment section down below what you guys do. Do you have rules for yourself for what you will and will not buy when it comes to microtransactions? Let us know. And with that down, it looks like we are done with the episode for today. We've got a new episode coming up next week. Rich already started putting stuff into the show notes for next week, having to do with game preservation, which it is near and dear to all of our hearts here on the podcast. So make sure that you come out next week and hang out with us. I'm going to be at PAX East coming up in a couple of weeks. Carrie will be there too, and so make sure that if you see us, come by and say hi. And I think that the three of us on the panel here are all going to be on at Too Many Games again this year. We went last year. We did a panel with Bob Wolf. This year, we're probably going to do another panel with Bob and maybe somebody else as well. So we'll stay tuned for more information on that. Russ, what have you been working on, man? Tell everybody where to go find your stuff and what they can look for.
So channel is Retro Game Core, CORPS, and I've been working on the Retroid Pocket Classic review. So this is a vertical handheld. They have a 4 and a 6 button configuration for it. And it's $130, at least before tariffs and all that, and if you can get it shipped to you. But it is really good. Like I've been going back and forth. I added another day to my like workflow because I was going to make the video and have it done today. I was like, I need another day because I think this might be like the best vertical handheld I've ever seen. And by that, I mean
Wow.
like price and performance and features and everything else. Like it all just comes together. It's not the most powerful. It's none of those things, right? But it just, I can't wait to play that thing again. Like I can't believe we spent an hour and a half talking because I could have been playing on that. You know what I mean? Like that's how much I'm in love with it right now. And so, I wanted to give it time to like kind of settle in my brain before I start talking about it like that, because I know like my voice can be influential. I don't want to like gush about a thing. I need a little bit time to let it settle. And man, I'm still.
Is this
really
the
good.
6-button
And
one or the 4-button one that you're talking about mostly?
The surprise here is the 4-button one.
What?
Like the 6-button one is interesting for, fighting games and Sega Saturn and stuff. But for everything else, I would rather use the 4-button. And so it's the 4-button for me.
My hot take is that 6 buttons are overrated.
You try to play Mario World with a 6-button configuration where you got to press on one button and then jump with the other, and it's laid out in a straight kind of line like that. It isn't comfortable. And so I would prefer a 4-button layout for the games that I'm playing for the most part, which is going to be Game Boy, Super Nintendo, NES, all that kind of stuff. And it all fits a lot better for me. I'm a Genesis guy. I grew up with a Genesis, a Sega CD, 32X, and it's cool that that's there, but I'm probably going to spend 90% of my time on the other one.
I just hate playing Genesis games where it's like press A, B, and C, and I got to look at my controller and figure out what the hell that means. That always drives me
Just
crazy.
don't look down. You can't look down.
Don't look down. Rich, you're still on sabbatical, I think?
Yeah, that's right. I am chilling. I'm going to play some more indies. I'll report more next week.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for... Oh, I put out a video. You might have seen, during the this or that, I put people's words up on the screen. And if you're curious, how the hell does he do that stuff? I made a tutorial that I posted today over on my other channel, which I will leave linked down below so you can check that out. Don't click on it if you don't care about that stuff, because all it's going to do is mess up your feed on YouTube. So if you're like, I'm not interested in tutorials on how to make motion graphics, then don't click that, okay? But if you are, click away. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Nerd Nest. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. You could have been anywhere. You chose to be here, and I appreciate that. Stay rad, everybody.